Thank you, Dorothy. What a perfect daily word for today. It fits right in with our series here. And what Ralph Waldo Emerson reminded us, that the mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original dimensions. So that's what we're about here, stretching our minds in the area of prosperity in our series, Keys to the Kingdom, an advanced course in prosperity building. So who's been noticing signs of abundance around you and in your life? I see some hands, some lights. Well, I saw something the other day that made me just stop and stare, and it was so delightful. I was in a store and I saw a salad bar for the first time in 15 months. 2 rows of beautiful, fresh food just waiting there to be selected. And it was a little thing, but it was just so delightful. It just reminded me of abundance and also of the abundance of choices that we have. So I invite you this week to notice the little things, and that will help to build our awareness of abundance all around us and in our lives. So in week 1, we were invited to make a conscious commitment to be more of a giver to life and to extend our giving in the areas of time, talent, and treasure. Time in our spiritual study and prayer, giving talent in service, and our treasure, money and material goods. So how are you doing with that? I want to mention also that if you're someone who struggles with commitment, know that just venturing out even a little bit beyond your comfort zone can bring tremendous growth and awareness in this area. So last week, in week 2, we began to imagine our own personal vision of a life of abundance in all areas of our lives, in health and well-being, in relationships, in finances, in work and creative expression, and in our spiritual lives too. So the question today is, what might be standing in the way of that vision that you imagined last week? So we're going to look at today the third key, which is build a new awareness. Before we do that, I want to point out that you've had previous visions where you've put energy, focus, attention that has already brought many wonderful things into your life, right? Think of all the good things in your life that you have consciously created. Can you think of some things? Yeah. So know that Spirit is always nudging us to grow and bring forth more love, more joy, more wisdom, more good as an expression of divine life in you and as you. So even with all of the wonderful things you've created with Spirit, there's always more God to live into and to build a new awareness, a greater awareness. So a good place to start is to look at our core beliefs. And what a good time to do this, right? As our world is rapidly changing in some energizing ways and perhaps in some disorienting ways. So it's a good time to take stock and know that we all have a personal belief system, a set of deeply held convictions that color our perception of reality. And our core beliefs color our perceptions of life and actually create our experience of life. So we could liken this coloring of our perceptions by our core beliefs to wearing lens-tinted glasses. Suppose you always wear glasses tinted a specific color. Say I'm wearing yellow tinted glasses, you're wearing green tinted glasses, someone else is wearing rose tinted glasses, and someone else is wearing clear glass in their glasses. And if we all looked up at the sky on a clear sunny day, we would all say that the sky was a different color, yellow, green, etc. So this is a visual example of how our core beliefs can color our perceptions. And these unconscious beliefs can feel real to us. The fears, frustrations, self-esteem could all be stemming from these tinted perceptions. And I mention this because our beliefs about our highest potential, what's possible for us, these beliefs determine how much prosperity and abundance we allow into our lives. So these personal beliefs can either bind us or set us free. So we'll talk about limiting beliefs for a minute. And we know that these are largely unconscious, picked up from family, personal experience, the media, cultural influences, school, and we don't often realize that it is a belief. We think that it's reality or just the way life is. A common limiting belief that many have may sound something like this. There's good things in life are not available to me, or life is a constant struggle. And you feel the heaviness of those, the energy of those statements. So we know that persistent thoughts plus feelings gather momentum to generate a physiological reaction in the body that is either life-generating or life-limiting. And when we automatically accept a limiting belief is true and view the world through this tinted lens, guess what we experience more of? Yep, lack, struggle, that good, just out of reach. So remembering, we create our own heaven and hell, prosperity or lack, with the thoughts we hold, entertain, dwell on, and act from. So it's good to notice feelings too, especially strong feelings, which can be an invitation to stop and ask, where does this thought come from? Where does this feeling come from? And to be a gentle observer, to question and be open to new information, to new ideas, to new understanding. So, how can you tell what you currently believe about prosperity? Well, we can listen to our speech around abundance and it will tell us. For example, do you catch yourself saying, "Oh, I could never afford that"? Or seeing something and saying, "Ooh, yeah, that's for me too." Or saying, "Oh, all the good ones are taken." Or thinking, "You know what? It only takes one, and that perfect partner, that job is looking for me too." Or does the speech say, "I'm too fill in the blank, old, young, big, small, etc." Or, "You know what? I can do that too in my own time, in my own way." So paying attention to your speech, your thoughts, and just what pops out of your mouth. We can also get a clue about our beliefs from our actions. You know, how often do we give or withhold kindness, love, money, goods? How often do we share Or how often does the impulse to grasp and hold and hoard come up? That hoarding, that grasping, that clutching is fear and contraction and actually separation from God. We can also be gentle observers and observe, how often do we make fear-based decisions, knee-jerk reactions, and how often do we make faith-based decisions, discerning with wisdom. So we remember that an idea accepted by the mind has the ability to create our reality and dictate our thoughts, feelings, speech, and actions. So the good news is, if you don't like what you see in some area, you can lift your mind to a higher plane and build a new awareness about yourself and your life. That's how powerful your mind is. So we can build upon these good habits of being a giver to life, prosperity consciousness. And when we find ourselves in a lack attack, we can stop, drop, and roll. Stop the frenetic, fearful mind, drop into oneness with God, and roll into prayer. This helps us to recenter and to awaken from the trance of scarcity. You think about that word scarcity. Scare-city. Scarcity tries to get you to live in scare city. So we can wake up from that and put on the mind of Christ, as Apostle Paul put it. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Seek first the kingdom, and all will be added. So something within you knows the truth of who and what you really are, as a beloved creation of a loving Creator. There's a part of you that has not been seduced by false and limiting beliefs. Your higher self knows this, even in times when your human self may temporarily forget. So remember that your vision is more powerful than those old beliefs, because your vision comes from this deep inner place of listening to Source. It's an inner revelation of truth. As David Owen Ritz says of our vision, it is actually an inner awareness of your true spiritual self and highest human and spiritual potential. It's a set of wonderful new possibilities that the universe wants to express through and as you. So what does the universe want to express through and as you? I invite you to spend more time with your vision this week. What are those heart's desires, those desires from Spirit nudging you to be more of divinity expressed? And to relax and know that your higher self knows how to do this. Forget about the how. That is God's business. But to work with your vision, imagine it, write it, meditate on it, feel into it, affirm it daily. And give thanks that it is already here, because it is already here in the realm of ideas. But to imagine it is to let your nervous system practice the feeling of it. We're also advised in Keys to the Kingdom that you don't have to dig up every limiting belief like pulling weeds, but know that a greater spiritual idea will always heal a lesser one. So focus your energy and attention on your emerging vision and know that it will naturally heal and transform any limiting beliefs and lift you into a higher expression. How many of you have worked with that visioning consciously before? With affirmations, a treasure map. I see a few lights in hands. Yeah, it's that power of focus, of intention and attention. And that persistence, seeking first that conscious contact with God, with Source. This morning, as I was meditating about this lesson today, what came to mind was a heart's desire I had as a child. I grew up in the Catholic Church, and something about church, I loved church. It was something mystical going on there, and I loved the smell of the incense, the prayers, even though they were in Latin and I didn't really understand it. But I knew that something important was going on there, and I could feel an energy. And I loved the holy water too. I couldn't wait to get in there and do the blessing. And it had a certain smell to it. You know, I always thought it was God's aftershave. And so I would sit there as a little girl and see the altar boys up there and just want to be part of that. You know, something special was happening. I want to be part of that. But the belief of the time was that is not for girls. Girls can't do that. And so imagine my delight when I found a spiritual community, when I found unity that said, yes, girls can and do this. To be part of that mystery, to help people connect with that awesome energy and power and presence of God. So know that your heart's desires may show up in their own time and in their own way. So I want to close here with the keys to the kingdom, 7 spiritual truths that will help us build awareness and acceptance of the good we're claiming in our visions. Now, you may have heard these before, but this time I invite you, when you listen, to really let them in. So the first spiritual truth is that God is the one and only source of our good. We do have channels for that good, like job, investments, etc., but the source is all God. So this past year, 2020, 15 months, if some of the channels have disappeared, know that more will appear, because God is source. God is always expanding. We are always expanding in God's great abundance. So number 2, abundance is a here and now reality. We live in an abundant universe, surrounded and immersed in lavish abundance. So don't confuse a temporary event with truth. I think of sometimes about all the storage units that are full in America. If those were opened up and shared, every man, woman, and child would be clothed, their house would be furnished. There is an abundance of good for every person. Number 3, abundance is inexhaustible. The universe is constantly expanding. God's creative process is an endless dance between form and formless, and we are a part of this creative process. So know that you are God's special celebration of its own extravagant abundance. I am God's special creation of extravagant abundance. That sounds like an affirmation. I am God's special celebration of extravagant abundance. Say this with me. I am God's special celebration of extravagant abundance. Once more. I am God's special celebration of extravagant abundance. Notice how that feels inside. My cells are doing a happy dance right now. Number 4, spiritual truth. God is meeting your every need at every moment according to your acceptance. So we can release any fear that your good will take away from someone else's, because the opposite is actually true, because the more abundance we allow ourselves to accept, the more we can be a channel of that good for someone else, to be part of that flow, in that circulating stream of God's good. Taking it in, sharing it out, receiving, giving. Number 5, everyone deserves abundance. Everyone. So we need to see ourselves and others as infinite love, as God does. So to love unconditionally and forgive self and others. We'll work with this more in one of the upcoming keys to the kingdom. Spiritual truth number 6. Your vision is your inner awareness of your naturally abundant self. And as you come to identify and activate your vision, you will find yourself growing and changing in wonderful ways. And number 7, the 7th spiritual truth. Your inner guidance will lead you toward the fulfillment of your vision. We remember that every idea contains the power and intelligence necessary to bring itself into being. The seed knows how to break open, unfold, and bloom. The seed idea. So this unfoldment of your vision is a natural process under divine direction. We are co-creators with God. You are a co-creator. So this week, spend time with your vision. Let it talk to you. Let it give you a new awareness of divine direction and of what wonderful is possible. So let us go now to our time of meditation. So as we prepare ourselves for this time of meditation, I invite you to relax and settle in with a couple of deep, relaxing breaths. Allowing your mind and heart to open even more. To the truth of infinite and inexhaustible good in your life. So we acknowledge the source of all good in our lives is that one presence and power we call God. And we align with this presence now. So imagine you are holding a slip of paper that says permission slip with your name on it. Permission slip from the universe that says, I give myself permission to. I give myself permission to. put something in that space. Notice what wants to be written in that space and see it written there. I give myself permission to write a book, have a loving relationship, be financially abundant, have more fun and ease and peace of mind. Have greater vibrancy and well-being. I give myself permission to be happy. Whatever it is for you, give yourself permission to do it, be it, have it. And just breathe that in. I give myself permission to. And let these words be the silent words of your heart. I hold my very own key to the kingdom of good, to my very own field of dreams. I look only to God as my source, and the ceaseless activity of divine mind as my supply. I am blessed beyond measure. I am profoundly grateful for this reign of good and plenty I am now experiencing, and I give myself permission to accept the greater good. Let us take a moment now in the silence Now, let us return our awareness to this place with a grateful and expectant heart as we say, thank you, thank you, thank you, God. Amen.